So hello everyone, welcome to the Alumni Spotlight interview. I am Jessica, I am a member of the Biotechnology Student Society, and today we're here with Abhay. Welcome Abhay, thank you for joining us today for the interview. So Abhay was a student in Centennial College, he studied biotechnology. He also studied biotechnology as a bachelor's degree. As his work history, he has worked as a lab assistant in Centennial College. Also, he worked as a technician in St. Helens and Kawartha Dairy. After that, he worked as a lab analyst, and then he got promoted like as a supervisor's operation supervisor. And now he's working as an operation manager in Master Martini, Canada. So it would be really helpful for us to learn a little bit more about his experience as a student in Centennial. So as a student in Centennial, do you have any study hack, maybe healthy habits you like to share, or a favorite spot in campus to study? Something interesting for us to learn a little bit.
Well, hey Jessica. So it was nice seeing you and meeting you. So to answer your question, there was a spot on the fourth floor near the labs. There's the parking lot of UFT. I near the top where the Tim Hortons located. I don't know if it's still Tim Hortons still working or not.
It's actually closed, but I remember the spot. Like there are tables and chairs. Do you mean that?
Yeah, I used to sit there because many students won't sit there. I've seen it. Like it will be just a handful, a bunch of them. Usually students used to sit near the stairs or the library, but I would sit over there and then have a coffee when I was there. Sometimes if we are studying, like the college was open till 11 o'clock till night, I'm still thinking it's the same time. So we would just sit over there and just study for ourselves. And healthy habit, like just used to grab a coffee from Tim Hortons and just do my notes, and then I would have one of my classmates sometimes. We would share our notes and then do exercises, and then also if there's some assignments, we would just do it together. That was a go-to spot.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that spot is also not very frequented. Like there, no many people go there like to study. It's a nice spot.
Yes.
So, as seeing it from the outside, what resources from the college you wish you have used more?
Library services. We were not given enough information regarding the services. Like I know teachers would tell us go to the library and just grab that book, but then the books were short in demand. Like the books were not in too many in number, so they would have been always be overbooked, and then your turn would be not be coming for a month or so. And then I was a tutor in Centennial College during my tenure, but I never used tutors in my own time as a student. And then I wish there could have been more access to databases from the college. My cousin used to study in UFT, so I would use his credentials to log in UFT database and then use it for studying by myself. But I wish college had more database on the system. It would have been really, really helpful, and more digital books. Like I'm old school, I still need a book with me, but
Yeah.
if I'm studying home, if I can get a digital version of the book, that would have been great. Like they could give us access, like they would give us with the book, like the physical copy of the book, like 3 weeks access, 2 weeks access, and then like that. But that would have been pretty much good for us.
Okay, that's great.
But I'm talking to you about 10 years from now.
Yeah, nowadays we have online books that we can like look for them in our places, just signing in the Centennial Library with our credentials. So I think that's have been an improvement in about that topic. Did you work when you were studying outside college?
Not outside college. I was just a peer tutor in my
The
fifth and
tutor.
sixth semester.
Mm-hmm. And how
Uh,
did that go? Did you learn, did you get positive things from being a tutor?
yeah, I was always full. My calendar was always full.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was lovely meeting many students, learning their background, improving their skill sets, and giving them tips how to learn certain subjects.
Yeah.
Some of them, students I was with, I'm still in contact with them through LinkedIn.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and then yeah, that was the only college job I was doing. I never went outside for some reason.
Mm-hmm. But that's good. That's
Yeah,
good anyways. Being a tutor is a good experience also.
yes.
Now talking about the job, how what are the main challenges you have encountered while working?
The main challenges I used to get, like I was lucky, like I could get a job as a lab assistant in the college after my graduation. But that was because I had a good relationship with my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is retired, the other one is still there. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were pretty good with me, and then that's how I got the job. But when I ventured outside the college, it was pretty hard because even they say it's a fresher job, they still required some kind of experience.
Yeah.
Um, First of all, they said you don't have a Canadian experience, which was a bad thing for a fresher. That would
Mm-hmm.
demoralize someone. But I was, and the other part was like jobs I would get, they were night shifts. I did not
Okay.
prefer night shifts at my first go. Um, Couple of jobs I did interview, they were um like I was living in Scarborough, the job was in Mississauga. They didn't have
Oh, it's fun.
any vehicle. Like the only transportation was using TTC or Mississauga Transit.
Mm-hmm.
So and then my resume, some people did not like, so I would have given like 100. I would applied 100 jobs, got back reply only for 10 jobs, and then interview maybe one or two, but then it won't. Then it did not um,
Did not go further.
materialize into a job. So that was a big setback for me. But then slowly, then I would start rehearsing my interviews. Maybe I was not giving interview properly. There were some skill sets I was lacking. Slowly I built everything up on myself, started practicing interviews, started watching YouTube videos on how to give an interview, uh, upgrade your resume, and then it took me at least 1 year to get my job outside college.
Oh, that's great. And what abilities that you learned in the process do you think they would be beneficial for finding a job?
Connections, like you should
Mm-hmm.
have a good connection in the company.
Mm-hmm.
um Connections usually work out like when you go outside and meet different people, like maybe sitting in Tim Hortons, you find somebody, maybe the person sitting next to you or standing in the line could be a CEO of the company, you never know. uh and then the present job I'm working on was the same thing. Like I knew the guy, knew the person on LinkedIn. He approached me, and then did interviews and stuff, did interviews, and everything was done, and then I finally got the job. Um, and then your resume should be up to date. Like you should have all your skills which are required by the job should be focused on the resume, and then your resume should always be tailored for the job you're applying for.
Mm-hmm.
And then you should also practice interviews um, in front of the mirror if it's your first or second job. But after you gradually start having experience giving interviews, that habit could be stopped because you're now confident enough, like you can go and give interviews and then you won't be scared. Sometimes I still get butterflies when I'm interviewing for a job, like, and I still get it. It's part of the process,
Yeah.
which makes me feel like, okay, I'm still nervous. I can still
Mm-hmm.
work it out. I can find a way to be more confident in front of the interviewer. And then and the other part was always ask questions when you are interviewing for a job.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen that you have certificates like in HACCP in food handling. Do you
Yes.
think that would be beneficial in a resume to stand out from others?
Yes, it would have been because HACCP is basically required by mostly by all the organizations if you are on the quality background. My background got changed. I went to production because the production manager, he needed somebody with a quality background and who would have those certifications. So one of the key reasons he hired me was that food handling certificate, because it also broadens your scope with other industries too, because food handler contains all your meat factory, your dairy products, your restaurants, and other food places. Um, I am still trying to get a certification through ASQ as a food ASQ also, and then now I'm in supply chain. Um, I would like to have some certificates in supply chain. UFT has a lot of certificates like you can do on your own.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and they are not
So
too
good with that.
expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you always go on UFT website, you can get those core certificates too. The other one, if you most of these industries require Excel skills. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're lacking Excel, you can always go to free certifications online.
Mm-hmm.
Udemy is one which I use. It's paid, but it's still reasonable. The other stuff you can use is if you don't want to get a certification, at least you can go on YouTube and learn how to use Excel. And
Yeah.
um, many things have been changed in Excel when I started back in, I don't know, back in 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
And now and now like I'm making now, as because I'm in supply chain, I have to do data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
never used pivot tables before. So went back in my certifications and then started using how to learn pivot tables, how to use it. Um yeah, so Excel is one of the certifications you need. HACCP, if you want, you can, but usually companies can also help you to get some certifications.
Mm.
In Lactalis, they would have been happy to provide me with resources to get certifications done.
Oh,
So
great.
so you can always talk to your manager for
So
those
maybe the
certifications.
certificate is not like essential, but knowing about them and investigating about their procedures are beneficial, for example, in an interview, that you show interest in knowing about them.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's good.
So basic certifications, yes, you can get. Advanced, you
Mhm.
can always go back to your company and you can ask them to provide you resources to get certifications.
Yeah, that's great. Um, Talking about the interviews, what advices have can you give us? What have you learned, like the tips and tricks for a good interview?
Uh, well, basically now all interviews are online.
Mm.
Like 90% are online, 10% maybe they're on the site. So let's say if you are giving even online interviews, you should properly dress up. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
still wear business attire when giving an interview. Doesn't matter
Okay.
like the other person is all wearing, you just wearing pants and shirts, or you
Mm-hmm.
just sitting in tees. I would still wear business suit. There's
Mm-hmm.
no handshake anymore, but if you are doing in person, have a firm handshake. Always look in the eye. So
Mm-hmm.
in digital, always look at the camera. It appears that you're looking at the eye of the person. Uh, be confident. Never ever try to memorize the questions and their answers,
Mm-hmm.
because if
It's
you
so
memorize,
natural.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if you memorize those answers and then you say those answers and then the interviewer is looking for something else, you would understand, he or she would understand that this person has memorized those answers. So it's like, so it's not the interviewer is looking for, he's looking for genuine, like a person should be genuine in answers, and then you should always, and plus you should always think before you giving an answer. Like
Mm-hmm.
even a minute, 30 seconds pause is more than enough. Or if you have a bottle in front of you, just take a sip or two to kill the time and to so that you can also think like what are you going to say. And most of those questions are more of um what do you say, experience based plus scenario based. So Indeed and LinkedIn, they have a lot of questions upon how to answer these kind of questions, basically using the star method. um in my previous job at Lactal as a production supervisor, um there were tons of day-to-day activities which were asked when I interviewed for the operations manager job. So how would you tackle this? How would you tackle this situation? What should you do? Most of those most of the interviewers are looking for people who are independent too and team
Okay.
player. So you should always focus your answers saying that I'm a team player, plus I can also work independent when I'm required to.
Great. That's a great advice. And do you think that interviewers look for theoretical questions, like technical questions, or just they look at the person and if they can manage hard situations or like harsh environments?
Um, for example, you're applying for a lab technician job. Of course, you need technical skill sets on it. Like how
Mhm.
should you plate? What should be the minimum temperature of the bacteria when you put in the
Okay.
incubator? When should you read the plates? How do you make a media? Well, at certain level, those technical questions are answered. But then you start building up your experience when you go up on the manager level. Of course, they're going to ask you technical questions, but for a manager, they're going to ask you scenario-based questions. So what are you going to do? For example, when I was supervisor, I was still a part of the management. One of my fillers lost sterility.
Okay.
So the technical question would be by the interviewer would be, so okay, your filler's lost sterility, what are you going to do? Well, some people will say, I will go to my boss. I would ask him what to do. For me, it would be no, I'll just put back the filler on sterilization if there's no mechanical issues. Uh,
Mhm.
and then what else? What else they ask? But as you grow up in your position, they're going to ask you more scenario-based questions. So for me, for example, now as operations manager at Master Martini, there's no QA because we are a distributor of foods, but I still have to use my QA background as a technical part. So how should I answer the questions when my customers ask me? Example, today I extended a shelf life of a material. How did I reach that conclusion?
Mhm.
In that way, I should know how to read those test results for microbial load,
Mhm.
chemical analysis. So
Oh,
you should
great.
have both technical knowledge, of
Mhm.
course, but you should also have the skill sets how to manage a team. Because in the
Yeah,
end, somebody's going to go become a manager, probably a C designation in future. You never know. But you,
because if you have a lot of knowledge and you don't know how to communicate them,
yeah,
then it's not worth it, right? You
no,
should have a balance between those.
yes,
So thank you for that.
your core should
And
always be strong.
yeah, and regarding finding jobs, what platform do you think it's the most useful? Like LinkedIn, Indeed, or maybe going to the company's websites, connections, as you said. How
Mhm.
should we start looking for jobs?
Well, I've seen both Indeed and LinkedIn. They
Mhm.
post a similar jobs. Like 99% of jobs, they look like they will be on Indeed plus LinkedIn too. But the positive feedback of LinkedIn is you can see who's the hiring manager or
Oh,
who's
that's nice.
the human resource
Mhm.
coordinator or manager. So you can also directly approach them. I mean, you have to first
Mhm.
you have to send a friend request, and then they should accept it. And then the other thing is they're gonna have probably tons of connection requests every day, so they won't answer your queries right away. But at least you know in LinkedIn, maybe you can also find a common link. Like, hey, this
Mhm.
person is working in this person is working on XYZ company, and I know him from my school days, my college days, or we used to work together in a previous company. And then you can always contact that person. He or she may be able to help you um, approach the hiring manager or HR. So
Mhm.
there's a connection now, and then you can forward the resume to that person. He can or forward to the HR or hiring manager. I've done the same for my own colleagues. Like they would see I'm in Lactalis, they would forward me a resume. I would forward to the HR or hiring manager. It's up to them. They want to call them back for an interview or not. Um, so I would say LinkedIn is much better now. It's much better option now these days. But don't forget, like people will still post jobs on Indeed, which may not be on LinkedIn. So use both. With company website, there now is a link now. Please go to our LinkedIn page, or
Okay.
please go to the Indeed page.
Mhm. That's good. Well, thank you for your answers. I
You're
learned
welcome.
a lot of things. Um, Thanks for joining us.
Okay, you're welcome.